Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Above the Bar podcast, where each week we belly up to the bar with a new guest, find out what they do, who they are, and what makes them great. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alrighty, folks, welcome back to the Above the Bar podcast. It's your host, Sean. We have bellied up to the bar again here on a Wednesday. It is that time. And we're going to talk about a topic tonight. My kid just sent me a text out of the blue. This Sunday is SNL's 50th anniversary episode. And I was just talking about this. So maybe we'll talk about SNL because I like SNL. But we're bellying up today. We have brought with us an absolute legend of the Catskills region, a man who needs no introduction. If you live in a town of about 35 people, he's got it all. He's got it all covered for them. He has it all handled for them. Joining us in parts unknown. Oh, I should probably change this. And I always jack Mike's last name up. It's Mr. Michael Lanuto. Look, you get cheers and everything.
Nice.
What do you think, Mike?
What's going on, brother?
What's up, man? How you been?
Living the dream. Living the dream.
Am I stupid? So I love StreamYard. I love it a lot. I really do. And I think it does an amazing job. But for whatever godforsaken reason, every time I post, the first time I post that the show's going live, I have to edit the privacies while I'm talking to the guest and be like, oh, wait a second. Let me go ahead and fix this so that everybody knows the show is happening right now. But Mike's going to talk to us. Our goal for tonight is, what's up, Seeger, is we're going to be talking a little bit about not necessarily where to put your money at, how to put your money, but how to start financial planning. One of the things you'll probably hear me say 100 times is I don't like personally planning for retirement. I think that's like saying planning to die. I don't have any plans for that. When it happens, oh well. But I do like the idea of talking about planning for next steps in life when you're moving on to your next task, whatever that is. So Michael's going to help us out with that. He's all prepared. He's fully immersed in all these things. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and take care of some house cleaning. As always, over my right shoulder is the big board for Sticker and a Cause. You've got something you believe in, something you're supporting. Maybe you've got a band. Maybe you've been an actor. Maybe you're involved with the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. Whatever it happens to be, you were law enforcement and you've got a sticker. I don't care what it is. You reach out to me on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok. Our website is theabovethebarpodcast.com. Our email is theabovethebarpodcast@gmail.com. All those different things. You reach out to me. You let me know what you got going on. We'll go ahead and read about it live here on the air. So you get a little bit of love, everybody supporting everybody. That's the goal here at the bar. So make sure you reach out to us for Sticker and a Cause. But we also got to be talking about, and Michael knows about, I don't know, maybe he can talk about it. I try to get probably the most important person next to his wife and children here on the air, but she was supposed to come on and then she had other plans. She's the single most busy person I know. I don't know how she does it, but we're talking about Budget Blinds of East Greenbush, Budget Blinds of Hudson and Cooksaki, and the newest additions, Budget Blinds of Schoharie, North America's largest window treatment company. They even got offices up in Canada. They specialize in everything from blinds, shade, shutters, drapery. They do tint, you name it. And what makes them different from everybody else in these big box stores is they come out, they take the measurements, they do the installation. They are your single point of success for your window treatments. They're not going to turn around and tell you, well, go see this person and take measurements, or you got to go take your own measurements. Then they're going to have somebody show you stuff in a store. They're not even going to bring it to your home. How can you match window treatments? This is furniture for your windows, folks. How can you match that if you've never actually seen it in your home? They bring the showroom right to your driveway so you can see everything in your house and how it all works. And I only say this because, I'm going back in March, right? I'm going back in March, Michael. I'm finishing it all off upstairs. It's all going to be done.
Nice. Good.
See, we're being cryptic right now for you folks.
Yeah.
Don't you wish you knew what we were talking about? So make sure you reach out to Budget Blinds of East Greenbush, Budget Blinds of Hudson and Cooksaki, and Budget Blinds of Schoharie. Let them know you're there to belly up to the bar. You're going to get an extra 5% off of your entire order. And this month, they've got a deal going on 20% off of your entire order for window treatment. So reach out to them, let them know what you got going on, and they'll take good care of you. All right, Mike, it's all done. All the house cleaning's over with. Everything's situated. How are you today?
Good. How are you? And we just want to say that I can attest from hearing from clients of mine that I've sent to speak to the guys at Budget Blinds of East Greenbush, Hudson, and Cooksaki, the fantastic work that they do and how the professionalism that they have. So it's
they have a handsome sales. They have a very handsome.
I wouldn't go. I don't know about that far, but the work was excellent. So,
man, a little bit. I mean, go with it a little bit.
Yeah,
something. But all righty, folks. But again, for those of you that are joining us live, if you have questions for Michael, you want to know about what he's got going on, if you want to know about your financials, he's going to be able to cover some basic things. If you want to get into more details, it's michaellanuto.com, and that's LANUTO, michaellanuto.com. And you can get into some more details about that. He'll set a time up with you to talk. But if you have some basic questions like, hey, when's a good time to start? How should I start? Let us know. But, and I forgot to tell you, Michael, if you see me looking to the left, that's because I'm looking at all my notes. But to kind of give you an idea a little bit. So let's see if I got this right. Child superstar actor, retired New York City law enforcement. I like avid reader and soccer enthusiast. I'm not sure what that means. Does that mean you had like a Pele poster in your room as you were growing up as a kid?
No, it's that my son has been a longtime player in soccer, and it's our pastime is watching games all weekend long, and while going to his games. So,
and then also, and this is kind of how you and I met, co-founder of the International Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame, which is located here in the Capital Region of Albany in the MVP Arena, which has an amazing wrestling history if you're into pro wrestling. So co-founder in that. And you actually found that location through an organization that we just had the founder of on last week, Paul Hook. That's how you met the lady who got you the space over there.
Yeah, there were a lot of moving parts with getting in touch with the right people to get into the MVP arena. And Paul Hook's hour was integral in helping that, just through networking. Connected me to a right person who happened to know some people who knew people that I knew. And one thing led to another. Next thing I know, I'm negotiating a 1,500 square foot space inside of the arena for Hall of Fame.
The premier entertainment location for the Capital Region, the MVP Arena. And I got to get my buddy who does all the marketing for them for the Firewolves. We have season tickets to the Firewolves. I should get him on. But that actually kind of leads into what we're here to talk about, which is financial well-being, which I think to me, most of us, and you correct me if I'm wrong on this, Mike, most of us, our understanding of finance is kind of a networking situation. People in your personal family network, dad tells you, put your money in a 401k. Grandpa told you to put it in the mattress. You have a family friend who says, nah, buy stocks and, buy the blue chip stocks, and you don't even know what the hell that is. You just think it's like tortillas, and everybody's telling you all these things to do. And that's really our understanding of how our financial planning starts. Is that about kind of most people's experience, you would say?
Yes. It seems that the financial literacy or illiteracy that is out there amongst our society has been passed down through family members. And something that may have worked 50, 60 years ago, or may not have worked 50, 60 years ago, that seed has been planted now in the newer generation. And, it's trying to just provide that education as to, you know, what's good for somebody or didn't work for somebody might work for you now.
Right. It's like I Robert Kiyosaki's book, and I'd love to hear some of the books that you think people should like start to
If you
build their
look over
foundation.
my right shoulder on the next to
Uh,
the flag,
you're,
all three of them
you're
are right there.
well, I can't read those, Michael. What
Oh,
does it say?
those are Robert Kiyosaki's books.
Oh, is that the so Rich Dad
Yeah,
Poor Dad?
we got
Oh,
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Cash Flow Quadrant, and let's see, Guide to Investing.
only one of those I haven't read is Guide to Investing. The other ones I've done,
Yep.
but he talks about it. The days of putting your money in a savings account and getting 3-4% interest back off of they're gone. They're dead. Stop just sticking your money into an investment account. Would you agree that you need something a little bit more robust?
You
Did
there?
I lose you? I lost you for a second there. But what's your thoughts on that? Like, see, you said I froze. I said you froze. Your screen's all squiggly, not mine.
Yeah, I missed what you said. Yeah.
Well, what I was saying is Kiyosaki talks about in his book the days of taking your money, putting it in a savings account, getting 3 or 4% interest rate on that, and then just letting it build and compound over time. Those days are gone. Would you agree with that?
It works for some, but when you're doing that, you need to keep in mind the inflation rate
What do you mean?
because, well, if inflation is, say, the last couple of years was running almost 9%, right? So if inflation is 9% and you're getting 3% in a savings account, the value of your dollar has decreased by 6%.
Yes. Oh God, it's simple math, but I never even thought about it like that. Yeah,
You know,
no.
you want to at least try to keep pace with inflation. And when they say that, oh, well, inflation has come down, it's not 9% anymore, it's 5%. Okay, it didn't come down. The prices didn't come down. They just aren't increasing as fast as they were last year. So something that was $1 a year ago, 9% inflation made it $1.09.
Right.
Well, 5% for the next year, it's now 5% off of $1.09. It
Right. So
didn't
now
go down 5%. It just didn't increase as fast.
that's interesting. That's and that's so I mean, even hearing that, I think somebody without Mike, you're freezing up on me. Poor Michael
Can you
keeps
hear me?
freezing. I can hear you, but your face is
All
frozen, which is absolutely hilarious. I wish I could have taken a screenshot of it. But you know what? You bring up a great point. I think the average investor, if they didn't understand what it takes to get moving, if I told you, well, inflation's 9%, now it's $1.09, but now it's your 5% is off of $1.09. It's going up again. It's going up again. Constantly moving. April said she heard you. Make sure you're sharing this at every place, babe. We want to make sure we get kicked off all those yard sale sites. But in that process, how do you even get someone to start investing? Because if I hear that and I'm like, well, I'm never going to catch up with inflation. I'm never going to keep up with this. I'm never going to get my money up, heading the right direction. How do you get people to say, take a deep breath? Here's how we do it.
It happens frequently with people and that's one of the things I try to make myself as accessible to everybody is when they see that the market, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 500 points for the day. Well, that's 30 companies. So the overall market really isn't necessarily, collapsing on a 500 down point day. And when you take it into perspective, if the index is 30,000, it might only be a 0.5% move. So you got to kind of try to remove the emotion away from what's going on in the market and all the noise. Because if you look at what sells ratings on TV, fear and panic, right?
Right.
So at the beginning of the day, if the market is down, and they're all hyping up, oh, the world's coming to an end. By the end of the day, now the market could be up, and it's everything is roses. So you got to look at the long-term picture, the long-term horizon of what are your goals that you're looking to achieve, and in the time frame that you're looking to achieve them in, and just put out all that noise of what's going on TV, because your general portfolio may be different from what the overall market is doing. One of the things that I try to work with my clients on is figuring out what those goals and time horizon is, and then coming up with a strategy that will help them to achieve those goals. And part of that is taking in risk mitigation. We'll structure that portfolio where if the market is down, 5% in a day, yours might have no impact. It could
It's
be
funny you
positive.
say that. Yeah. Like I've seen on my own where I look and I mean, they're like, so the market's taking a big hit today. Everything's going to hell. And then I look at my account and it's like, wait a sec, I made like 2 grand today. Like, why did I make 2 grand in my accounts, but the market supposedly took a straight shot in the face? What's going on here? So no, that's a great point. So really your job is part of it is actually, I don't want to say psychiatrist, psychologist, but part of it is to, keep people level headed. That's what you do.
Yeah, it comes down to talking them off the ledge sometimes, right? Helping them bring in the perspective of things and removing that emotion. Like, all right, hey, time out. Let's talk this through, okay? And when you start talking about like really what's going on, you're like, oh yeah, I didn't even think of that. It's like, yeah, interest rates aren't necessarily going to come down overnight, like
Right.
2 percentage points. That's not going to happen. If it does, there's bigger things going on in the world, right? So I look at, it's not just about being a financial advisor and looking at all of the investments and financial planning, but it's acting as a coach, a financial coach and a life coach, right? There's a lot of times where I'm talking with a client and it's more about their personal stuff that's going on, not necessarily about their portfolio. Because if you look at a three-legged stool, right, you have financial wellness, mental wellness, and physical wellness, right? That's your stool. You take one of those legs out, that stool collapses. So everything is interconnected. If you start having, your physical health starts deteriorating, well, now your mental health starts getting impacted. Now that could impact you going to work and making money. Well, now that impacts your financial health, which then impacts back to your mental health. Because now it's like, oh, I'm not making any money. I'm losing money. Now that starts impacting your physical health because you may be resorting to a substance, whether it's alcohol or drugs or anything like that. So you've got those three.
What's wrong with alcohol? What are you talking about?
In moderation, right? Temperance. But you've got those three legs of the wellness stool that you impact one of those, that stool is going to collapse.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with you there. And it's interesting how long it takes people to realize the wealth piece. In that wealth, what do you think? Like, so I like to focus on, you know, I hate to do the shoulda, coulda, woulda, but I know, like for me, retiring out of the Marine Corps, that was always my retirement plan. When I realized what was going on with there is that was always in my head. That's my retirement plan. That's my investment. Anything I invest other than that is icing on the cake. But not everybody does that. So, is there I guess the question is there a right time to start having these conversations? And as a parent, is there a right time to start having them with your kids?
I believe the right time was yesterday to start having those conversations. But then the next right time is today. What do they say? When's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When's the next
Right.
best time to plant a tree? Today, right? So the sooner you can start thinking about these events and retirement planning, education planning for college, things like that, the sooner you can start, the easier it becomes. But just because you didn't start 20 years ago doesn't mean you can't start today. It just might take a little bit longer and a little bit harder work to achieve those goals that you have now as if you started 20 years ago. But I look at, you said this earlier in your opening about retirement being like, I don't plan on retiring. When I die, that's when I retire.
Right.
I look at retiring and retirement planning as a state of mind. It's not a date or a deadline, because I've known too many people that I used to work with, or even just in my network, that retire at 45 or 55 and they're dead by 60.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
You know, retirement for me is the notion that if I don't want to work, I don't have to work because I have enough saved up and I have the means to maintain my standard of living now.
You can
That's
pick and choose.
retirement to me.
You
Yeah.
can pick.
Somebody, you can say, all right, you know, I'm going to keep working, but if someone ticks me off, I'm like, hey, I'm out the door because I got enough saved. Or, hey, it's Christmas. You know what? Let's go to Italy for Christmas. Not being like, oh, I got to save money. I got to do this. Like, no, we can tap into the accounts because we have enough saved up where we can go do that family vacation over to Europe or down to the Caribbean. That's retirement to me. It's the state of mind. I mean, I plan on working till I can't work anymore.
I'm the
But
same way.
it's, you know, because what are you going to do? You're not just going to sit around. I mean, I've seen, so my grandfather, owned a gas station in Sunrise, Florida for, I couldn't even tell you how many years. Sold the business, retired at like 70, early 70s, and didn't do anything. Just hung around. You know, and he was a Navy veteran, very active guy, but it was just like, what are you doing now? And then just slowly started deteriorating because he wasn't stimulated with the work anymore. And I don't, what
Yes.
are they saying? I don't mind. Becomes devil's playground, you know? So you got to stay active. You got to stay
Idle hands are the
stimulated.
devil's play.
Otherwise, you
Yeah.
start losing your mental faculties.
Oh, absolutely. What's funny, you say that I just finished a book recently. Actually, the second time I've listened to it. I'll tell you, it's a great financial book. I think it would be up your alley. It's called it's only in an Audible version, but it's called Business Secrets of the Bible. And the guy goes through Old Testament situations and talks about all this. And it's kind of where I got the mindset about not wanting to retire, because one of our great things that we can do is, we, as a human, our job is to service other humans. That's what God wants you to do, is to serve your fellow man.
Right.
And that's what keeps you active. And when you stop serving other people, you fall apart. Real quick, if you're listening to us and you're just joining us and you have questions about financial stuff, please drop them in the comments. Mike will be happy to answer it for you. Also, if you wanted to contact him and see how he might be able to help you increase what you're doing, you don't need to have, I'm a firm believer in, you don't need to have one financial planner. You can have financial planners for different situations. Uh, Trust me, Michael would love to have all your wealth and just manage all of it, but he would probably be also the same person to tell you every person's going to have a different thought and plan and can approach things in a different way. So if you're looking for what he's got, check out Michael Lanuto, LANUTO.com. You can see what he has going on there. What's your thoughts though on that? Like, I know I have some personal financial stuff that when you and I talked initially, and I was like, hey, what should I do here? You were like, you're managing that fine yourself. Just you hold on to that.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
I'll talk to me about this. So what's your thoughts on like people having multiple planners or for different purposes?
One, that's great if they even have a planner, that you're already a step ahead. You know, if you're working with somebody, that's great because a lot of people try to do it themselves, and it's great if you can do it yourself. I could do my own plumbing if I wanted or my own electrical work, but I wouldn't say it might come out the best as if I hired a professional that is licensed and knows what they're doing to come and do that work or take the time to learn how to do all that stuff. I'd rather pay the professional that went to school and got all the training to handle that. So then I can go live my best life and do what I need to do, whether it's with my family, my kids, or working to make money, you know, and so I don't have to worry about those things. Um, yeah, if you're working with somebody now, that's great. Not, but it's always good to have a second opinion on things because not every shoe is designed to fit every person. Everybody has a
Absolutely.
different situation to look at. And I look at the way I like to run my practices. I like to be the quarterback of a team of professionals where whether it's working with your accountant, your attorney, you know, bookkeeper, anybody that's involved in your financial world, whether it's for your family or your business, that way we're all working on the same page together and we're not contradicting each other. If an accountant is saying, yeah, there's ways that we can reduce your taxes by doing X, Y, and Z, like, hey, I can help you implement that strategy. Or hey, you might want to ask your accountant about using these strategies to help
That's
lower your
genius.
taxes and see if that fits your situation. And I know in some conversations that we've had, those things have come up.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
it's not like it's not about ego. It's about doing what's best for the client and their situation. And that's why I like, working with as a whole team for the client.
So let me ask this question then. And I think this comes up often. I've heard this from even my own kids. Oh, I don't have enough money to start saving like that. I don't have enough money to do that. Is there, like, how much do you like? So Joe shit the rag man, you know, or got a kid looking to start saving, should have saved years ago. What do you say to somebody like, how much do I need to even call you up and be like, all right, Mike, I can start saving now. I need to start investing. How much do I need?
I have clients that are just starting out in their life in their early 20s, getting their accounts open, start planning for their future. And I have clients that have millions and millions of dollars, whether
So
they're
you
in their
can have
70s or
zero.
80s. You can start with zero. The point is to just start. Start with something. You set it up on automatic coming out of your bank account every 2 weeks, every month, getting deposited right into your account. You don't even miss it. And once it starts getting in there, then you can start working and developing a strategy where it's going to start at least trying to earn you some money. So if you read in the book, in Kiyosaki's books, right? What does he say? The wealthy make their money work for them. They don't work for their
Right.
money. So the way to do that is you got to put the money to work. You got to get it into an account or some sort of strategy that it's going to be working for you. And trying to get back to the conversation about inflation, trying to at least match what inflation is so that the value of your dollar isn't decreasing over time. It's either staying pace with price increases or doing better, increasing its value.
What I just heard this one the other day, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this. So they were talking about we always hear the wealth gap. We've all heard that term. Oh, this guy's got $1 billion. That one's got all this money. I'll never catch up with him. And they were talking about the wealth gap, and I really wanted to get your thoughts on this. And the one guy that was on there, it wasn't Cash Patel. It's the other one that was supposed to be involved with Doge, but I haven't heard his name in a while.
Oh, Vivek Ramaswamy.
Vivek, right. And he was
Yep.
on a show and he was talking about this and he said, the wealth gap isn't how much money I have and you don't have. It's the understanding of compound interest and that me putting my money into the stock market and into these, billionaire playgrounds, my money's constantly growing and I leave the interest in there. I leave the dividends in there and it's constantly compounding. What's your thoughts on like how important is that compounding interest and teaching compounding interest?
Well, what did Albert Einstein say?
He said a
What's
lot
the
of shit.
most powerful? What's the most powerful force in the universe?
Uh,
Compounding interest.
did he say that?
Compounding interest. Yeah, Google it. Look it up.
I'll have to go.
I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he said. That's attributed to Einstein. Compounding interest. Because as the money's coming, you're earning interest and it's getting reinvested into the account. Now the interest is building off of. So let's say if you had $100 in there and it earned 5% interest. Now it's $105. Well, now that $105 is earning 5% interest. So now it's compounding on top of that. And over time, it's just continuing to grow. It's not the 5% stated off the principle of $100. It's continuing to compound over time. And that's how it grows. So this is how the wealthy get and stay wealthy is by using this principle of compounding interest. So if they're buying, they're in stock, dividend producing stocks or anything that's earning interest, they're not potentially taking the cash unless they're going to use that cash for income. They're going to let those dividends reinvest to buy more shares, which then when the next dividend is paid out, it's compounded on top of more shares, and then it just continues to grow and compound that way. So yes, I'm a proponent of the compounding interest. So if that helps, it kind of explains it, answers your question.
It does. Again, folks, if you're just joining us and you want to know about what we're talking about how to start financial planning. Maybe you're already midway through your financial planning. If you got some questions for Michael, drop them into the comments. We love to hear them. And again, it's michaellanuto.com, Lanuto. He'll set a time up with you, talk you through anything he's got going on. So let's get into this then. So going back to that brand new investor calls you up and says, Mr. Mike, can you help me with my money? And you're what are some of the things, I don't know what the right term would be, or programs or whatever, where you say, is it, hey, well, start with a 401k, or no, let's start with, a regular savings plan. Like, what are some of the places that you start them on?
It all depends on their own situation.
What do you mean?
Your situation is going to be different from my situation compared as opposed to somebody else's situation and their situation. So it's hard to give an initial recommendation without sitting down and doing a full assessment of their overall picture. What's your job? How much is your income? How much debt do you have? How much are you saving? Do you own a rent? Do you have insurances? Do you have any inheritances or settlements coming in? Do you have any investment accounts already? If the answer is no, I have no investment accounts, I'm making $40,000 a year, my monthly expenses are, $4,000 a month. Well, you might want to worry about working, and you're $50,000 in debt. Now, that situation is going to be a little bit differently than somebody that's like, yeah, I'm making $250,000 a year. I have zero debt. My house is paid off. I've got $100,000 sitting in my savings account. I've got life insurance, disability insurance, and and I'm expecting an inheritance in 6 months from a deceased relative. Different situation, different strategies that would be available. So it's hard to just give a blanket, yeah, these would be the strategies without sitting down with everybody. So again, if somebody has those questions, reach out to me. Meetings are complimentary. We have to sit down and do an initial assessment to see what's going on. Then I can actually, kind of like when you go to the doctor, right? You go in, they take your height, weight, blood pressure to get your health vitals. When I meet with people, I got to get the financial vitals to see what's going on so that I can make an assessment and a diagnosis to then, okay, this is what's going on. Here's the prescription. Let's start working on that.
But so then it's not a one size fits all.
Absolutely really,
not. Okay. How
not
about
in my world?
Well, and this is one that I know there's some stuff that I've learned over the years that I'm a big fan of. How about for new parents? Is there anything that you would recommend for a new parent? Comfortable lifestyle, we'll just say this is that middle of the road, making ends meet, has a couple bucks to put away. I know what I started doing for my children once I hit that point. Is there any programs? Like, I'm a big fan of buying your kids whole life policies so that they're interest bearing. They're never going to be less than the day they were born for what you're paying for. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, folks, these are insurance policies that actually gain a cash value. And if you buy it on the day your kid's born, it's like $7, $8, depending upon what the total value of it is. It could be $7 or $8. And that's all they'll pay when they're 80 years old, because it's the same exact policy. What are some of the things that you recommend for new parents or to protect their kids?
So the minute I had my kids' social security numbers, I opened a 529 college savings account for that. And I started putting money away into that. And over time that grew. And now I use that to help pay for my kids' college tuition. Now, in New York State, they'll give you a tax credit up to $10,000 if you file your taxes jointly, right? Again, you got to talk to your accountant about it. I'm not a tax expert, but I do know enough about taxes. So if I'm paying for college expenses for my children, I might as well pay for it with money that I'm getting a tax break on instead of paying for it with money that I've been taxed on. So I'm a proponent of putting, at least up to the $10,000 a year, if you're, filing your taxes jointly, into the 529 account. That way, again, it grows tax deferred. You can be as aggressive or as conservative as you want in that account. And then when they go to college, and the strategy that I've been doing is I have my son's college tuition payments, right, on a payment plan to my credit card. So I get points on my credit card.
That's genius.
Then when the bill comes in, I reimburse myself from the 529 savings account. So I only take out what I paid for that monthly payment for his tuition, got the points on my credit card for air travel or hotel, because I go down to see him, right? We fly down there or drive. And then the money continues to grow inside of the investments in the 529 account.
And correct me if I'm wrong on the 529. If you're concerned, well, I've been putting into this since my kid was born and he's 15, and I'm realizing I don't know if college is in their future. You can actually, as a parent, use it after they're 25 or something like that. And they're like an age where you can now use it as your own.
The
Like,
money is transferable amongst family members.
okay.
So let's say your child doesn't want to go to college, right? It doesn't have to even be for college. It could be for, trade school or,
Can you use it for trade school?
private
I didn't
school.
know that.
Yeah. Yep. So they don't want to go to school. Okay. Well, then you can open an account for yourself and just transfer the money to yourself to then say you want to go back to school, and you can use it to pay for your tuition or your spouse or another child. Or let's say you don't even want to do that. Well, now your kid has a kid, the money can be transferred to them as well.
Oh,
And now also under the new legislation was passed a couple of years ago saying that if the 529 account has been open for at least 15 years, after they don't if they don't go to college or they're all done, you can transfer out $35,000 to a Roth IRA. So now you can kickstart your retirement account. So, and that's within limits. It's up to the maximum per year. So right now, the current maximum contribution to a Roth IRA is $7,000 a year. If you're under age 50, it's $8,000. If you're over 50, the government allows you an extra $1,000 to put into your retirement.
Right.
So a situation that I've currently been working with is the child has got a full ride scholarship, never really touched any of the money in their 529 account. Okay, great. Well, let's open the Roth IRA. So at the end of last year, we put a request in to do a rollover of $7,000. Check comes in, put it in for a prior year contribution for 2024. Last month, put another request in, take another $7,000 out. Now it's a 2025 contribution. So they just kickstarted their retirement account at 24 years old with $14,000 in their account.
Oh, that's genius.
Then next year for 2026, if it's still $7,000, we'll do another $7,000. So each year we'll do $7,000 until we hit the cap of $35,000 that was allowed to come out of the 529 account for the rollover.
And it's still compounding interest while it's sitting in the 529. It's still
invested in whatever funds or however it's allocated inside of that account.
So it's still having an opportunity to continue to grow even at that point. That's a good one, because I don't like my kids enough to give them anything for college. So, I'm kidding. But there's so many ways out there as I spend my time, and I'm looking at like, well, what should I invest in this? Like for me, I've looked at things and I'm like, I'm constantly trying to figure out like, how do I keep Uncle Sam's hands off my money as much as I can? Because as I like to refer to it here in New York State extortion fees, which are also known as taxes here in this state. There is nothing like it. Be a small business owner and collect taxes from people and then give it to the state like you're a state employee. Nothing will piss you off more when you're like, I collected money for somebody else that I have to give to them like I'm some kind of a mob enforcer, and I don't even see any benefit from it. So,
and that's one of the things that I work on. It's building and preserving wealth for families and small business owners, reducing their risk while doing it, and reducing their tax exposure. So one of the ways to help lower those taxes is, again, if you have children, even if you don't, you could open one for yourself, a 529 college savings account, right? To help lower your taxes that way. Another way would be with an IRA. You can get the tax deferral that way on those accounts. The third way is health savings accounts. You familiar with the health saving account?
Not really. No, what's that one?
So it typically will run through a bank. It's an account that you can put money in every year, and it rolls over every year to use for qualified medical expenses, but it'll lower your federal taxes almost dollar for dollar.
Oh,
So
like
for
that.
2024, and I pulled it up, and I'll put the link in the comment section to the article with all the information about it. But
Perfect.
for 2024, an individual could put $4,150 into a health savings account. If they have a family, they could put up to $8,300 into that account. And now you have until April 15th of tax year of this year to open that account to make a contribution for last year as
Oh,
well.
okay.
So if you're looking for a way to reduce your taxes for 2024, a health savings account is one way to do it. And really all you need to be able to qualify is you have to be enrolled in a high deductible health plan. That's it to
Aren't they
open an
all high
account.
deductible? Good
Yeah,
Lord.
yeah, right. And then
I
for
mean,
2025,
let's
for an
define what high
individual,
deductible is.
yeah, exactly. It's a relative. And then for 2025, you can put in for an individual $4,300 cap, for a family $8,550. And if you're 55 and older, the government allows you an extra $1,000 to put in there.
See, that's wild to me. And that's,
So now
that's good.
here's the thing with it. So if you're paying for prescriptions, or you're going to pay for your copay, or the dentist, or whatever qualified medical expenses, I could take it from this pocket and pay for it with money that's already been taxed, or I can take it from this pocket and pay for it with money that I just got a tax break on. Either way, you're paying for the expense.
Right.
How do you want to pay for it? Do you want to pay with one money that's not being taxed, or money that's already been taxed on it? And when you hit to 65, you can use that money to help cover some Medicare costs as well. So it's a known expense that's coming when you get older. We have to get Medicare. We're required by the government, and Medicare is not free. So you've
Nope.
got all this time to squirrel money away, get the tax break, and then use the money you got the tax break on to pay for an expense that's coming.
I even found out recently my TRICARE from being retired military. I was like, I'll have TRICARE for the rest of my life. No. When I hit 65, my TRICARE goes away and it becomes Medicare. I have to go to Medicare instead of having TRICARE,
Yeah,
which to me is
yeah,
absolutely wild to me because I'm like, wait a sec, why do I have to do this? But you bring up some good points here, and it's almost last call here, folks. And as we're going through this, and if you got questions for Michael, drop them in the comments. Here, let me grab these links he just gave me, and I'll give it to everybody here real quick. So this will go out onto all the pages and send. So that got dropped to everybody. But we're getting ready for last call, and as we all know, last call is around here is sponsored by New Scotland Spirits. If you're looking for spirit that is as bold and as rich as New York history and taxes, New Scotland Spirits is crafting exceptional locally sourced whiskey that tells a story in every sip. From grain to glass, we honor tradition with while pushing the boundaries of flavor. Whether you're a whiskey connoisseur or just getting started, there's a bottle waiting for you. Raise your glass to true craftsmanship. Find New Scotland Spirits near you or visit newscotlandspirits.com to learn more. New Scotland Spirits, where history and flavor meet. And I got empty bottles around me of New Scotland. I just, you know what? And I love my New Scotland Spirits. I was just talking to the other day to Jesse, and I had a batch one bottle, and I almost didn't drink it, but I'm also happy I did because like that's what got me headed down this road and knowing how good their stuff is. So just food for thought there. So let's before we close up here in about 15 minutes, I want to get into dispelling some myths that are out there. So there's lots of myths about finance. Like, we talked a minute ago about, hey, don't put your money into a savings account because if you do, you're going to lose out. All these different things. So what I looked up earlier here were 13 myths about working with a financial advisor, and want to get your thoughts on this. I have to have a lot of money. We already talked about that. We know that's dumb. Uh, a financial advisor will make me feel dumb. What do you think of that one, Mike? What do you think of that? A financial
Um,
advisor will make me feel dumb.
if that's the situation, that could be a personal issue. I mean, I try to if someone I'm speaking with doesn't understand what I'm talking about, I feel it's my fault because I'm not able to articulate it clear enough for them to understand. I try to be a teacher because I want them to understand why I'm making certain recommendations or suggestions for different strategies that I may suggest. I want them to understand it, not to be like, oh, well, Mike says to do this, and well, let's do it. No, I want you to have the buy-in. I want you to understand why I'm suggesting these things. And if you don't understand it, well, it's kind of on me. I didn't explain it proper enough
Well, you should
for
ask
you to
questions
understand
also.
it. Yeah, and if you don't ask questions,
That's your own damn
then
fault.
then shame on you. You should be asking questions. If you don't understand something, ask questions. And if the advisor doesn't explain something to you, or you don't feel comfortable with that explanation, go look for somebody else. That's part of the industry. We as advisors, clients come and go, situations change. I may get a new client from that had an advisor for 10, 15 years. Situations change, personalities may start clashing. I work on relationships. It's not a transactional sort of situation where you come in, we make some buys and sells or whatever, and that's it. No, it's a long-term relationship, almost like dating. The first couple of meetings, you're feeling each other out, like
Feeling each other up,
figuratively,
the other.
and then be like, okay, yes, we can work with each other. And I've turned people away because we weren't compatible with our personalities. It's like,
Just
listen, I'm
wasn't.
not gonna work with you for 10, 15, 20 years and have to fight with you over every recommendation that I'm making. It's not worth it. So, but if you have questions and you don't understand something, ask those questions. And if they can't provide you with a sufficient enough answer, then
I
you
think
might have to look somewhere else.
I like this one, and I think this is one that stops a lot of people. And look, folks, as I'm reading these, if you have some questions or myths that you've heard of, well, why you're not using a financial planner or why you're not investing for retirement, drop them in the comments. But here's a good one: a financial advisor would just tell me to stop spending money, so I'll have to just wait until retirement to do what I want to do. I think that's a lot of people uh, feel that way. Uh, Look, real quick, Mr. Bill just popped up. Mr. Bill is one of the coolest dudes I know. Mr. Bill, correct me if I'm wrong. You're 99 now, 98 or 99. And we went to Scarlet Knife and he had an old fashioned with me. And it was one of the coolest experiences that I've ever had. So I love me some Mr. Bill. But what do you think about that? Where people are like, man, I'm not going to see a financial planner. He's just going to tell me stop spending money. And then all the cool stuff I want to do, I'm going to have to wait till I'm 65, 70 years old to do.
Well, one, it depends on what you're spending the money on. So we'll have to have if you want to go spend like 75, 80 grand to go to Rivers, we might have to have a conversation about that. That might not be a good suggestion, but you have to live, right? Like people always say, oh, when I get older, I'm going to go travel. I'm going to go to Italy or whatever. Okay, well, have you ever been over there? A lot of hills, right?
Yes.
It's a lot so your knees could be shot by the time you're 65, 70 years old. You're not going to be doing a lot of walking or traveling all over the place. So I if you want to have those experiences now, yeah, do that, but it has to be within the budget, right? You have to keep in mind your long-term goals. What are you looking to achieve? And if going say, yeah, I want to go buy this car or whatever, okay, well, let's set up a strategy to help you achieve that goal in addition to the longer term goal of whether it's buying a house or retiring. If that kind of answers that, right? Makes sense. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
You know what? As I'm going through these myths, you just said something. How hard is it to get people's mindset shift from buying assets over buying liabilities? How hard is it? I know that once I understood that, I look at everything I purchase and I'm like, even if I bought a watch, even something as simple as a watch, I like watches. I look at that watch and I go, is this watch a liability? Like it's only cool to me because it's a Star Wars watch, and at every hour I hear Darth Vader going, Luke. Like, is it, or is it like, hey, nope, this is a Breitling that I know in a year from now I could flip this watch. Like, how do you change people's mindsets there?
It's hard because it goes back to when we opened up talking about where does the financial literacy and education come from? It's ingrained from through our family, through generations of that. And this goes back to Rich Dad, Poor Dad and Robert Kiyosaki's books, right? What is an asset? An asset creates money and creates wealth.
Yep.
What's a liability? It costs you money. So an example, your house. If your house isn't making you money, it's a liability.
He pissed a lot of people off with that.
Yeah, but it makes sense.
Absolutely.
And my realtor friends and realtor family members might get a little aggravated with that too, because if that's their business, but it's true. Unless that piece of real estate is making you income or money, it's a liability. Even if your mortgage is paid off, you still have what? Utilities, taxes, insurance. That's outflows. It's all money going out. It's not money coming in.
Right. And now you have all these.
It'll probably take time and education to teach people really what an asset is as opposed to a liability. It's not what we were taught traditionally, what asset and liabilities are.
Like there used to be that the saying, buy land God's not making anymore.
Yeah.
But now
Mark Twain
was that Twain that said that?
Yeah, along the lines of that. Yeah.
And it's one of those kind of things where you realize you're like, yeah, that sounds great, but I mean, God, because I would love to own hunting land, so me and my kids could go hunt, or we could build a family compound and we could all live on it. And then I think about it, I'm like, that ain't making me no money. That's it's not there. And that's another parent thing. As a parent, you're looking at your kids. There's something as a parent, it's tough for us to learn is, guess what? You don't have to spend all your money on your children. Eventually they need to figure shit out on their own. That's a tough one as a parent. So here's one for you. I like this myth. A financial advisor will just try to sell me products to make a commission. You there, Mike? Did I lose you?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm thinking about that. And I can only speak from personal experience, and it's going to be no, because any of the strategies that I recommend is geared towards that particular person's situation, and what their goals are. And I predominantly work on a fee base, but there are times where some strategies may require an instrument that has a commission on it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's why it's being recommended. If it doesn't fit the person's situation, then, I have a fiduciary responsibility to do what's in my client's best interest.
Exactly.
And again, I like the health savings accounts that I talked about. I don't make any money off of those. Well, I have clients that, I talk to them about, if they're in their own commission-based business where they sell a house and now they're not, at the end of the year when they got to pay their taxes, they're trying to scramble for taxes. So I'm like, hey, I see you posting and celebrating on Facebook about, oh, I just sold this house and made, that's great. Okay. How about you send me 10% of that, of the commission, and we put it away into a particular fund that it'll work and grow. And then when it's time to pay your taxes, you can tap into it. And I don't make any money off of that. But it's the right thing to do for the client, because it's helping them prepare for the short-term goal of paying my taxes on all the commissions that I made from my 1099 job.
Well, I was just thinking about it when I read that, and I was like, you're paying. Yes, they're going to push you towards things that have commissions, because that's where you're also making the most amount of money, is because those products are built that way so that everybody's that's why do you think your real estate agent gets a percentage? Because they're doing all the hustle, they're doing all the work, they're doing all the things. There's more involved in it. I mean, there's so many things. The last one, and then we're going to find out what else you got going on. I love this one. This one sounds like a teenager wrote it.
Yeah.
I hate math and numbers, and working with a financial advisor will be so boring. It sounds terrible. Like, how much does it take to just set up? Like, truly, I mean, I know what it took for me to get it set up, but I mean, you could probably have somebody set up within an hour or two or three conversations, and then once a month, once a quarter, whatever they need, and you never have to talk to them much more than that. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, the longest part will probably be the initial meeting, because that's where the whole assessment has to come in to see what your situation is and what your goals are, what you're looking to achieve. And then again, how often do you go see your doctor for your annual physical?
Yearly. You're
That's why I
yearly.
called it. That's why it's an annual physical. You go yearly, and you go to them maybe a couple other times throughout the year if an emergency comes up, something you need checked out on. I try to, we strive to meet with our clients 4 times a year, whether it's your annual update meeting, I like to do in person or virtually, a phone call, email, quarterly. I have some clients I talk to a couple times a month, just because, again, like we talked about, sometimes I'm the psychiatrist, and they
They
have
need a little more
you know,
TLC.
it's being it's not just being the financial advisor, but it's being that trusted advisor where, hey, something's going on at home or at work. I need somebody to talk to and somebody to vent to. And then, comes back to, it's not always talking them off the financial ledge. It's talking them off of, the life ledge. Again, it's being the financial / life coach on things. And that's how I try to run my business and my practice. It's being a coach for everything, not just, the investment guy on stuff.
All I can think, Mike, all the stocks are falling. What do I do? Hey, folks, here's going to be my big secret, and Mike can tell me if I'm a crazy person or not. We're getting ready to close the bar here in a minute. If you pay attention to the stock market, that's a billionaire's playground. Do you honestly and truthfully believe that it's ever going to go away or just completely crash and the whole world's going to fall apart around us? It's not. That's where all their money is. That's where all their investments are. So even on its worst day, guess what? It's going to come back. I can still remember, and Mike's way older than me. I don't think he is though. But I can still
Not
remember
really.
when it made the news that the market hit 10,000 points. I can still remember that. Oh, stock market's at 10,000 points. What's it today, Mike? 30, 40,000?
Yeah, it's up there. I think 10,000 was. I'd have to look at a chart, but I think it might have been like the 2000s, 2008 maybe,
No,
around
dude,
that time frame.
no. Here, hold on. I
I'd
want to
have to
say
pull a chart up to take a look.
uh,
I'm not sure offhand.
I'll do it real quick. When did the stock market first hit 10,000? There it is. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah. Looking back, Dow Jones hit 10,000 mark March 29th, 1999.
Okay, yeah. Today it closed at 44,368.
So what does that mean, folks? That means if you just were putting how many percentage, more if you just were investing, basic investing from 99 till today, would your money be at in those cases? Look, I'm not telling you how to spend your money. You can go to the casino, put it all on black and let it ride and see what happens and maybe be worth more than what you know what to do with. But I'm a long game kind of person, folks. I believe in putting my money somewhere where in the long term, I like looking at people that have lots of money and going, well, damn, how did he get there? How'd she get there? And then realizing stocks, investments, trusts, all these kind of things. And one of their biggest things that we talked about is insurance policies. They don't use banks. They become their own bank using insurance policies that they can borrow against and all these different things. So take your money, reach out to Mike. And if you don't want to reach out to Mike, look, you're not going to hurt either one of us, our feelings. I want you to, but you can check out Michael Lanuto, LANTUTO.com. He'll sit down and talk to you. Again, he might tell you, look, I'm not the person for you. You go reach out to somebody else. He'll point you in the right direction. See what he's got going on. see what he's got happening. Now, look, folks, believe it or not, this does not happen often to us, but there's no show next Wednesday. I am out of town, but we are going to do something on the 22nd. We're going to have Jan Rader on. Jan is a writer. We're going to be talking about her books, what she's got happening here. So make sure you tune in, not this Saturday, but the 22nd, so you can hear about all that. If you're just finding us through Mike or me through Mike, make sure you're giving this a like, share, follow. It sounds cliche. I know it does, but you hitting that like and that share button and subscribing to the shows, that's how this grows. That's how more people know about it. That's how people find out what Mike's going on. Look, this is the time, folks. Like Mike said, the best time to invest was yesterday and today. Like, just get it done. Don't sit on it. Don't wait on it. It's time to put that money away. Now, Mike, you still there?
I'm here.
Your screen keeps freezing. I don't know.
I'm just listening.
I mean, now don't log off on me afterwards, Mike. We got to talk for a couple of minutes. You can tell me how to invest the tens of senses that I have. Maybe make a whole $1 out of this whole thing. But all that said, as you know, this is like episode, I think it might be 270. You missed our hour today. It was episode 250 of our hour.
Really? Wow.
Hit that milestone. But as we do in every episode, the guest always gets the final word. So again, don't log off on me, Mike. What is the final word for tonight?
Start today. Don't wait till tomorrow. If you got questions, reach out. I'm here as a sounding board to help. That's what I got for you.
All righty, folks.
Thanks for the invite, Sean. I appreciate it. It was a good time. And maybe next time we can talk about a couple other topics outside of finance.
That's it. Body slams. All righty, folks. Be sure to push your stool in. This has been a Second Front podcast presentation found on Apple, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found.